Okay, so true story. When I was a senior in high school, I was voted least likely to have a positive impact on society. Harsh, right? You know, and while it's might seem kind of funny, and it was funny to me at the time, it was very, very accurate for a long, long time. I was basically a delinquent without any principles. But I've changed a lot since then. I don't have much hair anymore, but I've changed in different ways also. And I now have a very, very serious set of core guiding principles. And I want to tell you a little bit, I want to tell you a story about that. It's 1994. We've been open for 12 years at Zingerman's Delicatessen. We're very successful. We're winning awards. We're getting a lot of press. People really, really like us. And my partner, Ari, and I, we decide we really want to grow and we want to expand. And we understand that the first thing that we have to do is bring in a managing partner that is going to run the day-to-day operations. And we do that. We bring someone on board, and we bring them on board with less oversight, less thought, and less scrutiny than we would a dishwasher. How do you think that worked out? Not very well. Immediately, there were red flags, very big and very red. And I spent the next 7 years ignoring my gut feelings to that. And things were going bad immediately. And my employees were complaining, and I was becoming an apologist for the organization. And we were losing good people, we were losing customers, and I was losing sleep. Because for the first time in our history, we were losing money. The year we brought on this partner, we had made about $140,000 in net operating profit. The next year, the first full year he was there, we made about $24,000 in net operating profit. And then the next year, we lost $16,000. Pretty pathetic, huh? But we kept going with them. And really, I ask myself to this day, why did we do that? Why did we keep going when we saw there was so much trouble? You know, it's your ego gets in the way. You made a decision, and you don't want to admit that you made a wrong decision. You rationalize with yourself. You start to blame yourself. Maybe I wasn't clear in my expectations. You know, maybe we didn't let him know exactly what it was that we wanted him to do. And you keep going on with that. And then things started getting worse. And we sent him off to France on a trip to start to source product for us. And when he was there, he was staying at 5-star hotels. He was eating at 3-star restaurants. He was ordering $200 bottles of wine every single night. I know this because when he came back, he submitted a reimbursement request for his expenses. It turned out, you know, he was using our business as a personal ATM. And it was the request that he made, he spent more money on that trip than we were going to make that year in profit. Things were really bad, and we kept going. And so then we sat down, and I'm in the office with him, and I was talking to him, bringing up an incident that happened where he had behaved in a way that was completely out of line with our guiding principles. And I said, you know, how did this happen? What's going on? And he looked at me with a straight face, and he said, you know, sometimes when you want to climb that ladder of success, you're going to have to step on people's throats. And really, you know, my grandfather, may he rest in peace, would have turned over in his grave. How could I never imagined that I would be associated with someone who would actually utter those words. And then it was our annual planning time of year. And as always, we would have a discussion about salaries. And you can imagine how that went. He once again was asking for a lot of money. And I said, you know what? I'm happy to pay you a lot of money. I want you to make a lot of money, but it has to be tied to the performance of the business. And he looked at me with a straight face and he said, you know, my father told me that you pay yourself first. I said, Tom, that's really not what he meant. What he meant was when you get a paycheck, you know, you put some money aside, and then you do all the other things that you have to do. He got up, he walked out of the room. I turned to my partner, Ari. I said, we're going to buy him out. And now we had a legal buy-sell agreement, and it explained exactly what we were going to do, and it had a price on it. But I knew that, you know, the relationship wasn't important to him. He really loved the job. He hated the work. Money, what was important to him. And so I put a big pile of money on the table, twice as much as it would have called for in the buy-sell agreement. And I said, you got 48 hours to think about this under these terms. If you don't want it, we're going to go to the buy-sell agreement. He left the room. He called me back in about 4 hours, and he said, I'll take it. And it was over. I wanted it to be over quickly, quietly, and that's what happened. And right there, I promised myself, never again. Never again would we bring somebody in so casually. We now have a very formal path to partnership. It's transparent. It's well documented. We now have 17 partners. We have 8 businesses. Since he's left, we have grown 10% every year. And never again would I not trust my gut feelings. And the one thing I really learned was, going back to guiding principles, core principles, whatever you want to call them, if you are a principally driven organization, there are times where it's going to be awkward, uncomfortable, embarrassing, and expensive. Because principles aren't principles until they cost you something. But it's worth every single penny. Thank you.